give you the benefit of being an attorney, but you're one hell of a bad economist.
May I? I mean, that's
Quickly, please.
Need to respond.
It's called janetmillslied.com, and it comes from the Department of Education.
Very adult.
First, with just 12 days until voters head to the polls, it was an intense debate tonight between the two heavyweights fighting to be Maine's next governor in our Voice of the Voter Forum. News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry is here now with a recap. Jackie.
Hey, Zach. Yeah, like you said, it was a big night between Governor Janet Mills and former Governor LePage in front of a live audience for the Maine Chamber of Commerce annual meeting. LePage and Mills went head-to-head for the fourth time this year. News Center Maine's Pat Callahan asked what they thought the biggest issue to Mainers is. LePage immediately brought up inflation. Inflation is top of mind for many people as the colder months draw closer and people worry about being able to heat their homes and put food on the table. Paul LePage points to the economy early in our Voice of the Voter Forum, touting his business background, and came out swinging against Governor Janet Mills.
In the private sector, when you spend more money and you get less results, you get fired, Governor.
But as we know, both of these candidates have been in the Blaine House before, so both have records to show off. Mills says her economy is doing just fine.
Maine's unemployment rate is down to 3.3. It was 2.8 just a couple months ago. We have recovered all the jobs that we lost since the pandemic, during the pandemic. That's a huge jump.
LePage often looks to our neighbors in New Hampshire, who have fewer state employees and no income tax.
New Hampshire, who is beating the pants off the state of Maine right now, they have a positive budget, a positive growth pattern. We have a negative growth pattern.
With the economy also comes the conversation of workforce. The last census shows that Maine's population grew by 2.6% in the last decade. But as the population grows, the available workforce has dropped by more than 20,000 people in the last 4 years. Mills says it's not just workforce development that we need to look at.
Bath Iron Works went to try to hire several thousand people. Several hundred came and they couldn't find housing and left.
Another issue both candidates are focused on, education. Per Maine state law, the state must fund 55% of K-12 schooling for essential programs and services. LePage says he would consider continuing the funding.
If we can agree between the school systems and the state of Maine on what goes into the 55%, absolutely.
Mills, who was the first governor to reach that 55% threshold, says she would definitely continue funding essential education programs. Republicans have attacked Mills's, quote, woke agenda in the controversial book Genderqueer that some school districts have considered banning. Mills defends her Department of Education and says students are learning math, science, and reading, and parents are involved.
And I respect the school administrators and teachers who are taking the brunt of these kinds of accusations and being, we have a hard enough time recruiting good teachers and retaining good teachers. I want them to be able to teach what they feel is appropriate.
On the topic of gun violence, schools came up again.
I would take away all signs that say gun-free zone from our schools. I believe that law-abiding citizens should have the ability to protect their families and our schools.
These two have met 4 times now, and neither held back, trying to put the other down.
I've spent the better part of my career listening to loud men talk tough to disguise their weaknesses, and that's what I'm hearing tonight from Paul LePage.
Today, I'm releasing a website. It's called janetmillslied.com, and it comes from the Department of Education.
Very adult.
You can vote for our next governor and the next person to represent your district in Congress on November 8th. Jackie Mundry, News Center, Maine.